Good morning and welcome to the VSA Morning Miner. It's Wednesday, the 26th of January, and I'm joined by Paul Rankin. Paul, how are you doing today?
I am well, thank you. And you?
Yep, all good, thanks. There's a fair bit of news out today, lots of different commodities. Shall we start with Bushveld Q4 operating results?
Yes, that came in a little bit weaker actually from what we see here for both the fourth quarter and the full year. Group production came in at just under 3,600 tons of vanadium, which is the upper end of 2021 guidance that they had given. But group sales were actually not quite 10% down to 3,300 tons, and part of that due to the fact that they have some inventory buildup unshipped due to logistics delays there in South Africa. Cash left at the 30th of September was 15 million, which was down 10 million on a year-on-year basis. And they had put out some number here that they expected group production for 2022 to be at least 4,200 tons of vanadium, so there is a definite intent here to boost the output by a good 20% or so group wide. Their capital spending on mining and processing for 2022 will be about $14 million, and then they'll do another $3 million in capex or so for their battery and the power initiatives in Bushveld.
I think it's certainly positive they hit their production and cost guidance for the full year, but as you say, the sales slightly below. But often, a timing issue like that isn't going to be a major deal. It's really just an accounting nuance in terms of where the year end falls. But guidance suggests capital spending maybe past the peak. But the big driver is always the vanadium price for a company like this, and that's still fairly stable. And we're not expecting any major rallies in the near term.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on, Paul. What's next?
We have a company we haven't talked about before on the podcast. It's pretty new on the London Exchange too. It's called East Star, and East Star has come up with a discovery and drilling in Kazakhstan. They're a copper and gold explorer. And it's what's called the Apmintis license in Kazakhstan, and they've reported this is the first drilling they've done on this particular Novo target, and they got an assay back of 63 meters at 4.5 grams gold from surface. Now, they had 12 holes in this program, and this is definitely the best of those. And also the press release gives us some question as to whether or not that they've reported properly because of the uncommonly repeating set of grams per ton that are shown in some of the assay intervals. So we'll see whether or not they have to print a correction to their press release. But this being said, that the grade and thickness on what had been artisanally mined before on this particular target, you now know exactly what the artisanal people were focused on. I would say it's probably a pretty good indication of a relatively high-grade ore shoot here. And now the question is whether they can get some good extension to this in another drilling program.
Yeah, I think we'd caution there on getting too excited about that 64 meters, given the detailed intercepts within that. Anything else, Paul?
We had coming out late yesterday, the Chinese global mining firm MMG. They reported their total copper production at just under 340,000 tons for the full year. And that was down 12% on a year-on-year basis due to lower ore grades. as well as interruptions to production from roadblocks of their Las Bambas copper mine in Latin America. Their total zinc production came in just under 250,000 tons for the full year, and that was slightly up on a year-on-year basis. And they are happy to report that their production from the copper mine at Las Bambas has returned to normal with some at least temporary resolution to the community relations issues involved with that particular project. Now, the Kinsevere mine in Africa, however, that its production for the year was down 33%, and it also had production interruptions. So what we'll want to see out of MMG is essentially a steady production where they don't have these interruptions, which are harming their steady cash flows and otherwise not contributing to what would otherwise be investable guidance for this year.
Great. Okay. Unless there's anything else, Paul, I think we'll call it a day there, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow.
Very good. See you then.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Cheers.
All right.